Hello, fellow cinephiles, and welcome to another episode of Steve Reviews. I'm your host, Steve Sullivan. I'm a writer and critic for FilmMonthly.com. On the day I am recording this, it is the very next afternoon following the 90th Academy Awards ceremony. A lot of people I knew were very interested in watching the Academy Awards, not particularly for the actors, actresses, movies that were nominated, but what could possibly be said, what could actually go down. This year has been discussed as a year that was more inclusive when it came to women and minorities, but it also was swathed in controversy based on the number of sexual misconduct allegations against a number of high-powered men in the Hollywood industry. To my surprise, I'm sure to quite a few others, the ceremony was not altogether controversial or over the top. And I'm sure some people were disappointed with that. It was your standard Oscar ceremony. As a matter of fact, most of the major awards were won by, I'm sure you could say, highly predictable winners. For instance, we start off with the actress categories. Allison Janney won for Best Supporting Actress for I, Tonya. And if you've seen I, Tonya, you will understand why. She is incredible and despicable in equal amounts. You couldn't help but watch her on the screen, but at the same time, you hated basically everything about her. And that lends to the talents of Miss Janney and her award-winning performance. So kudos to her. Now, for lead actress, the award went to Frances McDormand for 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. Not surprised by that at all, because it was a terrific performance and she has won a number of other awards leading up to the Oscars. For my money, though, and I've said this before and I will stick with this, I thought that the woman who should have easily taken the award this year was Sally Hawkins for The Shape of Water. Hawkins was just above and beyond. She was incredible. I mean, playing somebody who was deaf and couldn't speak and leading a movie such as that with no words spoken but just facial expressions and emotions from body movement, and just you could feel the passion coming off of her in that role. And it was a shame that she did not take home the big award for that. Still, congratulations to Frances McDormand. She is a multiple-time winner now, and it was deserving. For myself, I just thought Sally Hawkins was transcendent in the category this year. In the actor department, once again, we bring up 3 Billboards because Sam Rockwell very much deserved this award. He won for Best Supporting Actor, and if you've seen 3 Billboards and you've seen the raw, just guttural, visceral acting that was done by Rockwell in that movie, and well deserved, good job, Sam. I mean, you nailed it. You deserve the award. And for Best Lead Actor, we had Gary Oldman in Darkest Hour. The thing I was the most afraid of in this category was that they would give it to Daniel Day-Lewis for Phantom Thread. Now, Phantom Thread was okay. I didn't feel like it was just a phenomenal movie that deserved to be, recognized as one of the 9 best of the year. And Daniel Day-Lewis's performance was good. Was it great? Was it, incredible? No. And I could still have seen him winning the award. And the reason why is he has announced that Phantom Thread was going to be his final film appearance, that he was going to retire from, movie acting. And so I felt somewhere in the pit of my stomach that maybe, just maybe, the Academy would send him out on a high note and give him the award, even though he probably didn't deserve it. Meanwhile, Gary Oldman, well, the Oscars have always loved themselves historical films. And Gary Oldman playing one of the most legendary characters, real life individuals in, world history, Winston Churchill. He nailed the voice mannerisms, the makeup effects that they got to try to make him look as much like Churchill as possible. Oldman was very good in the role. He was pretty terrific. I would have liked to have seen Daniel Kaluuya from Get Out win the award, but the Academy probably had the same thought process with him as they've done with a number of actors and actresses over the 90 years of the Academy. And that is, he's a young man, he's shown talent here. If he really has the talent, then he'll be nominated again somewhere down the line. I don't really like that train of thought. If someone is the best actor, then they deserve the award. Not, we'll give him an award down the line, maybe, but wow. Based on his age and his relative inexperience, this role was terrific and he deserved the award. I could see why they would give it to Gary Oldman, and like I said, he was good. But the question I have is, was it given to Oldman because he's been a superb actor for 30 years, 30 plus years, and the Academy has overlooked him a number of times previously, so maybe this is one of those where it's like, well, he's playing a very familiar, famous individual, and he did pretty good, so let's give it to him. And it's nothing against Gary Oldman, because he is a great actor, and this was a good performance. Was it a great performance? Was it the greatest that Gary Oldman himself has ever given? Probably not. But it's Gary Oldman, and he won an Oscar, and congratulations to him for it. Now, one moment that was a history-making moment. They talked about, the nominations being history-making, but this was something special. Jordan Peele won the Oscar for Best Original Screenplay. 2 reasons why it was history-making. The first is it was for a horror movie. Horror movies are so neglected at the Academy Awards that to see one win for Best Screenplay is remarkable and amazing, and bravo. I'm so happy to see that. But probably more importantly, Jordan Peele became the first ever black man to win an Oscar for Best Original Screenplay. So, and you could see almost the shock, the surprise, and just almost the relief that it was over, but at the same time you could see the look on his face that he was beyond proud of the accomplishment. And I hope for more big things from Peele. His talent level is through the roof, and I can only imagine that we'll continue to get nominations for whatever he does in the future. Now, for Best Cinematography, I really wanted to talk about this category. The individual who won is named Roger A. Deakins. He won the award at this ceremony for Blade Runner 2049. And why am I bringing him up in particular? Roger Deakins, before this year, was nominated 13 other times for the Best Cinematography Award. 13 times. And it's not like it was, for just listless boring. He was nominated for Shawshank Redemption and for Fargo and No Country for Old Men. As a matter of fact, it's apparent he loves working with the Coen brothers. He's been their cinematographer on 12 of their films, and they just seem to have that connection. And the fact that he's been nominated so many times with such brilliant work and never brought it home, to see that he was recognized for the beauty that is Blade Runner 2049. It's tip my cap to you, sir. I'm happy to see that you won this award. I'm glad. I just hope that the Academy didn't do what I mentioned before with Gary Oldman and just decided to give it to you because they'd missed the boat before. Blade Runner 2049 is beautifully shot, is just a gorgeous movie to watch overall, and I think it's an award that's very highly deserved. So congratulations to you, sir, for that. I'm happy to see that you won the award, and hopefully they recognize this and realize, whoop, we've made a mistake, so your future works get more recognized. And now for the two biggies, and they are connected. And the reason why they are connected is the Best Director went to Guillermo del Toro for The Shape of Water. And why is this one so important? A number of reasons. One, you have a Mexican director who has been in the business for many years, and not just down in Mexico, but I mean, he's made a number of, profile movies here in the United States as well. But also the fact that you have someone who has primarily been known in the horror sci-fi genre who won the Best Director. If you're a fan of horror and sci-fi, I mean, I would hope that you couldn't be any more thrilled to see this. The Best Screenplay went to a horror movie, and the Best Director went to someone who was very familiar with the genre. And speaking of Mr. Del Toro, the movie he directed, The Shape of Water, won for the Best Picture. Now, a lot of people are probably going to say that it wasn't the best movie of the year, but based on the 9 candidates, I would definitely say that The Shape of Water deserved the award. Now, the reason why I say of the 9 candidates, there have been previous years where a movie that I thought was just amazing, it blew my mind, it just left me speechless with my mouth open, and I just like, wow, this is what filmmaking is all about, didn't even get recognized by the Academy whatsoever. Like 0 nominations, or maybe got thrown a bone with one, offhanded minor nomination. For instance, there was the year that David Lynch's Inland Empire came out. That was filmed pretty much all digital and handheld. And for some reason, I think it didn't come across well to the voters. Maybe something about it scared them off. But that movie should have been nominated for Best Picture. And not only that, but Laura Dern gave the performance of her life in Inland Empire. But yet, no recognition for her work, no recognition for David Lynch's director or Inland Empire's Best Picture. And yet I thought that was the best movie of that year. Now we skip ahead a couple of years, and another movie that was just over the top, terrific, that I loved every element of it. The script, the direction, the actors, just every element of it. And once again, another movie that got pretty much completely overlooked by the Academy, and that was Charlie Kaufman's Schenectady, New York. It's not a movie that I think has been looked upon fondly over the years, sadly, but it's one that should be revisited. If you have not seen it before, take a look at it. Terrific. And then there's this year. The movie that I saw this year in theaters that dropped my jaw wide open, just opened my eyes wide, and just made me get chills up and down my arms, my legs, my back as I watched, was probably one of, if not the most controversial, at least major Hollywood movie to be released in 2017. And that was Darren Aronofsky's Mother. The back and forth, I don't know of too many people that can place that movie in between. You either hate the movie and wonder what is wrong with Jennifer Lawrence for being in it, what's wrong with Darren Aronofsky, or you're in the other camp, which I happen to be in, which is, whoa, what an amazing piece of film work. I wish more movies like that would be made. a number of my family and friends that I've mentioned this to have thought I was crazy. And anytime I talk about movies, it's almost like they just want to completely disregard my opinions now based on the fact that I thought Mother was above and beyond the top movie of the year. And beyond Mother, though, I mean, I watched I, Tonya. I, Tonya wasn't nominated for Best Picture this year, and yet it was better than at least half of the 9 nominees. It was nominated in so many other major categories, but no Best Picture, which was curious, because as I mentioned before, Phantom Thread was okay. I, Tonya was a better movie overall than Phantom Thread. I'm sure I will get comments for this one way, shape, or form. I welcome them. Please let me know what your opinion is on that. Now, beyond all the major awards, a couple things I definitely wanted to bring up was Sufjan Stevens, who performed Mystery of Love, a song that he wrote for the movie Call Me By Your Name, was just a melodic and haunting and beautiful song that he performed so just like passionately and so lovingly, and it was a touching performance, and I was very appreciative of that. Because I'll be honest, normally when I watch the Academy Awards, I don't pay that close attention to the best song category, but that performance there was just wow. It was a great one. A couple of interesting facts here. Christopher Plummer, who was nominated for Best Supporting Actor for All the Money in the World, is the oldest Oscar nominee in history at 88 years old. To be 88 and to have been in the business as long as he has and just continues to just, it almost feels effortlessly keep putting out quality, and the fact that he did it in a movie where he wasn't even originally supposed to be in it. He took over for Kevin Spacey. They almost refilmed the entire movie, and he was so great. Oscar nomination. Pretty good for, an 88-year-old actor that's been in the business since the 50s, maybe even further back, and he's still doing better work than people half his age. So kudos, Christopher Plummer, terrific. One thing that's always bothered me, and it wasn't as bad this year as it's been in previous years, is when some folks win Academy Awards, if they're not one of the big names and it's not one of the major categories, they start getting played off the stage. And I absolutely hate that, because you have somebody who's dedicated their life to a specific profession in the movie business. And here, they are at the absolute pinnacle of their professional career. They are on stage accepting an Academy Award for their work. And they are just, emotional and wanting to thank everybody, and you give them a short period of time and start to play them off. I think that's disrespectful, and I wish it was a process that they would stop. I know they probably will not, because they always talk about how long the ceremony is, but if you're going to have these categories on and you're going to have people that have never won an Academy Award before, give them their time. They deserve it. They shouldn't be just, shooed off the stage. Let them say what they have to say, especially, if they're going to thank their family and friends for all the support that they've given them over the years leading to that moment. Let them speak. Don't just push them off. That's so disrespectful, and I think it needs to stop. One of the things that I do enjoy, that I think is a great thing that the Academy does every year, is they have In Memoriam segment, where they take a look at all of the people in the industry that have passed on in the year 2017. And of course there were, sadly there were a large number of individuals, but there were two in particular that I think really kind of stopped me. And the name that I want to mention is George A. Romero. George Romero is a legend in the horror movie genre. He came up with Night of the Living Dead, which is mind-bogglingly celebrating its 50th anniversary this year. And he was a pioneer in the horror industry. He was someone that, on a shoestring budget, was able to push a movie out there that inspired thousands of people. And not only that, but he put out a movie that wasn't just solely about violence and blood and guts, but he proved that you can do horror with an important message. And we're 50 years on, and you see a man like Jordan Peele win an Oscar for writing a screenplay based on the same sort of principle. So he was an icon, and he was a trailblazer, and he was someone that when I saw his name and face on there, it's like I was actually touched. And the other person is one of the greatest character actors in Hollywood history. His name is Harry Dean Stanton. Harry Dean has been around, and he's been in every kind of genre you could possibly imagine. He was a favorite of David Lynch. Lynch used him in quite a few movies. And as a matter of fact, last year, Harry Dean put out his final movie called Lucky. And it was a touching farewell and one last magnificent performance by a magnificent individual. So, George A. Romero and Harry Dean Stanton, you will be sorely missed. And thanks for all the wonderful work over the years. And on to the end of the ceremony, which this one, some people wondered, are we going to see another train wreck like the previous year? When it came time to announce the Best Picture winner, who did they bring out? Warren Beatty and Faye Dunaway. Now, why is that one so important? Well, because last year they had brought the two of them out to announce the Best Picture winner, and they were also celebrating the 50th anniversary of Bonnie and Clyde. Unfortunately, they read the wrong Best Picture winner, and there was a kerfluffle on the stage until it was finally announced that, whoops, we read off the wrong one. Here's who actually won. So I don't know if this was a way to have them redeem themselves, or if maybe the Academy was like, let's see if we can end the night on a really weird note. Well, Academy, no such luck. It went off without a hitch. The right name was read off. The Shape of Water won. And actually, when Guillermo del Toro got on stage, he went up to Warren Beatty and he took the envelope and made sure to flip it around and look at it carefully, and then showed the crowd, yeah, it actually is us. We did win. So that was a nice little funny touch at the end. But overall, it wasn't too over the top. There wasn't too many messages out there that just stunned the crowd or had people floored. Probably the closest one that got the biggest reaction was Emma Stone was introducing the nominees for Best Actress, for Best Director. And she gave the little speech they had written on the note cards or on the teleprompter. And then she said, here are the 4 men and Greta Gerwig nominated for Best Director. I actually smiled at that, and you could hear some gasps and some cheering at the same time, and the smile on Emma's face was just ear to ear. So that was probably the one that that maybe shocked people the most, even though I don't understand why it would be all that shocking. I thought it was an interesting way of saying it. So. But there you have it, folks. That is the rundown of the 2018 Academy Awards. If you agree with some of my assessments, if you don't agree with them, comment below. I'd be more than happy to have a friendly discussion over whatever you'd like to mention with the award show. Please make sure to go over to filmmonthly.com to check out some of the previous writings that I have done for that wonderful website. Not just me, also make sure while you're there, take a look at some of the other great writers that have some terrific material over there. It's a great website overall. I've been proud to be a writer for them since 2011, so go check them out. Also, if you like these videos that I've been doing and you want to help lend your support, head on over to patreon.com/SteveReviews, where you can become one of my patrons, get some cool little rewards, and help to continue this channel on. I'd be much appreciative if you did so. Also, if you like to listen to podcasts about movies, two in particular that I would highly recommend checking out. One is Cadavercast, which is a podcast by 6-year-old Alistair and his father Jeff, where they take a look at family-friendly horror movies that you can get your youngsters into and not have to worry about them being scarred for life. Al is an incredibly smart and incisive young man who picks up on things that even some adults miss, and he's one to reckon with, folks. So find them on whatever podcast app you have and take a listen. Also, I highly recommend going over and finding Quote Unquote Guilty, which is a podcast that takes a look at movies, TV, music, just all elements of basically pop culture that people would consider to be guilty pleasures. Some people would, but Joe Ketchum and his band of merry guests would just look at them as just enjoyable. Not necessarily in the fact, it's like, it's like, I don't know if I should tell people I like this. They gleefully tell people they like it, and it's a blast to listen to. So go find Quote Unquote Guilty. They've done over 100 episodes now, so you got a lot of catching up to do. So check out Joe Ketchum and Quote Unquote Guilty. And that's all for this episode. I want to thank you once again for joining me on this nice little review of the 2018 Academy Awards. So until we meet again, have a beautiful day and good journey.